appreciates Habib Badr's ministry a lot. And Habib is one of the people we convinced to stay in Lebanon. When he came from the States, he was working on his doctorate. And under the bombing, we used to meet with friends like him, like Glenn Rogers, on their journey through Lebanon for vision. We would pray together and ask the Lord to lead for the next step. And Habib was there on our balcony saying, I'm split between two thoughts. I'm called to serve in the church because the church leadership was a little archaic. And I have on my mind to finish my doctorate. And my husband and I convinced him that the doctorate could wait. But the membership, the congregation couldn't wait. And we were proud to have been instrumental in, to have been one of the people who convinced him to stay. We're very good friends with his mom. His mom came to the Lord through my mother-in-law. And I owe a lot to my mother-in-law because she was a saint. Having grown up in this church, we were married in this church. I was born Greek Orthodox, to the Greek Orthodox faith. I married Presbyterian, so I'm Orthodox by birth, Presbyterian by marriage, Baptist by choice. I'm a member of
Walking ecumenical movement.
I'm a member of the Ras Beirut Baptist Church. I left the meeting there. I left my grandson and husband to go home so I could be with you. And I'm very grateful to people like Ray Baki, who have a practical component to their faith. When we met, I was just telling Shirley, when we met in the 1980s, during under bombs and shelling and risk going on the street, not just the risk of kidnapping, of being killed by a stray bullet or a falling bomb. We talked about our ministries. I shared about the YWCA ministry, and Ray was one of those people who said, I want to help. We want to help, not just through prayer, but we want you to write to us about your programs, and we are willing to support you. And that's how our partnership started with his family-based Mustard Seed Foundation, and has been ongoing since through scholarships for students who came from all over Lebanon, young women who came, who fled their villages under fear of massacres, of killings. They came in their night clothes, in their slippers, sometimes lost their slippers and shoes on their way because they were frightened. Their husbands, brothers, or fathers were killed to forcibly evacuate these villages, Christian and Muslim, but mainly at that time they were Christian villages that were being evacuated in the south of Lebanon. So we received them at the YWCA among other groups because we have a building that wasn't operating all the time because, under bombing. We gave them temporary shelter in the nurseries, in the vocational, on the vocational floors, gave them food and clothing to begin with, and then we started with vocational training programs. Unfortunately, most institutions, especially the United Nations, don't believe in long-term development. They believe in immediate relief. And that was very wrong because there was a lot of duplication among emergency relief providers. People were flooded with blankets, milk, and canned food. And some of them started selling to buy other needs. And this caused a scandal. Whereas we thought also alongside of long-term planning, long-term development for one young woman who would support the rest of her family. Immediately there were the secretaries, hairdressers, beauticians, because life went on. People were getting married, people wanted to look good. So we were providing training for these women in marketable skills. And one of our main supporters was Mustard Seed Foundation, where we had to give, at times we reached 200 full scholarships for young women who were then helping their siblings to go through school, or their parents, and some of them emigrated, but all of them had a tool with which to live later on. With that, we also focused on widows. We had many widows coming into Beirut and the suburbs. Having lost the main breadwinner, they needed a quick life-earning skill, and they were uneducated, so we created workshops for them. embroideries, beading, baking, that they could support themselves in dignity. And again, we received a loan fund from Mustard Seed, a long-term loan fund to provide these women with start-up money so they could get on with their workshops with the main instruments and tools they needed. So later on, unfortunately, a lot of violence has emerged. There was a lot of violence on the streets. Young people, young youth, males in particular, were involved in the killing, in the fighting, in the shooting. They were behind the guns. When the war ended in 1990, these young people were on the streets. So we're facing violence on the streets, in driving, in person-to-person contact, at home, in the home. In the 1980s, we, as the YWCA, we organized a nationwide anti-drug campaign, calling on people to be for drug awareness in schools, colleges, among young people. In the 1990s, we launched a nationwide non-violence campaign to encourage young people and older people like ourselves to live without violence, whether at home, in the workplace, or on the roads. One main issue that we have focused on, we continue to do training for young people in schools. We train the secondary classes, that being 14 to 18. We train them to be field trainers for the younger kids. Like we don't tell them you're on drugs or you're violent. We tell them we want to train you in the skills that will help others, the younger generation, in your schools, in your homes, in your clubs, to be nonviolent. So the drug awareness and the nonviolence continue through school groups, and we call them Youth in Action. But another main component was violence against women. Many women have been thrown on the streets by their husbands, with their children, and through a program that we did with UNFPA, training healthcare providers to be sensitive to violence against women. When women came into their care, claiming that they fell off the stairs or whether as they were actually beaten or abused, we discovered there was a need for women, shelter, and their children. And we created in Faith a very small apartment. We provided this apartment to host women and their children, because there was one other shelter that took the women without the children, which was additional trauma. So now we have this shelter that serves around 20 women a year, 20 women and about 7 to 8 to 10 children a year that come with them. We receive them immediately, regardless of religion or economic status. Some of them are wealthy, others, and most of them are economically deprived. We follow up with them through counseling, social counseling, legal counseling. We provide them with vocational training and find them a job so they can be on their own, so we can receive others in their stead and they become independent. So this is our main focus: vocational development for young women, daycares to care for the children of working mothers at low cost. We have a hostel residence in Beirut also at low cost for students and women who work in the hospital around AUB. And we have this violence against women and violence in general program. And Lebanese women, as Ray said, like the women who followed Jesus, who didn't only follow him, but they spent their money on him. You can think how scandalous that was at the time, for women to be leaving their homes, traveling with Jesus, and spending money on him. And one of these women was the Syro-Phoenician woman, who was very strong-headed and very obstinate, and
that's where the DNA comes from.
Right, after Christ to heal her daughter. And that's what kept us going during the war years. Believe me, it wasn't easy. It was much easier to run away. But that was a ministry. For those of us who stayed, we asked the Lord for guidance. We didn't want to be like Noah, finding ourselves on the way to the States in the belly of a whale. We asked the Lord to give us direction. And one of the directives I asked for was, I had a Sunday school in my home on